Hey everyone, this is Fish from the Fat Fish Podcast. Heavy heart. I've never done this, but with a heavy heart, we say goodbye to a very good friend that was a friend of the show, was on our last podcast with Brad Stewart, and I just take a nap before I go to work on Graveyard, and I looked at my phone around 11 o'clock, and it blew up, and it was Duke Mulholland and Tim Jarneau and Lenny Simone and Jeff Hirschberg and John Hyatt, and then Brett. Everyone knew that Dave passed away in his sleep peacefully. Um, I've never met anyone like this guy in 42 years in this business. I mean, this is Brad and I want to say in 1980. I'm sorry, this is Dave and I, 1986, 87, Mom Saloon, who's the best bouncer I ever saw in my life, and just a great person to hang around. And it needs to be said that when you have tyrants and idiots and murderers and thieves walking this planet, that you had a guy like that. That I got another picture right now um, somewhere. Let me see. Look at this one right here. This is Dave. And look at this. Just look at this on him. Look at his face on this guy. That's him having a coffee recently. Um, the Jersey kid took care of his family. Never had two nickels to rub together. But when my kid was being born, he was the first guy at the hospital with a lot of other people. But he'd never take anything from anyone, but he took care of people. He took care of his family. He comes to LA and he works in our nightclub, and the guy was just spot on, the best bouncer. He handled every situation with class and grace. If you got in his face and you fuck with him, you're gonna get it back. And back in the '80s, there's no cameras, so no one gave a shit. But old school guy. You saw the stories on the podcast. Go to our last Fat Fish podcast with Dave Brown. You'll see what an outstanding human being that he was. And I'm torn up about this. I mean, you meet people in your life, and um, you don't you don't get a chance to say goodbye. Well, I'm saying goodbye right now. It could be self-serving, but I don't give a shit. All right, because I like people in my life that make me laugh. And when I was down, which is rare, but you get down, they make you laugh. And this guy made everyone laugh. I'm gonna give a little something. His family just sent me this. If you're in the Jersey area, Big Dave, loved by many, many, loved so many. Funeral service Tuesday, April 11th, Costello Griner Funeral Home, Woodbridge, New Jersey. Obviously, a showing 2 to 4 and 7 to 9. Um, I'm not going to be long-winded about this, but I have an avenue, I have a forum to talk about my feelings. It's therapy. Um, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what God does this, because the kid battled his whole life, took care of his kid brother that had Down syndrome, and then Dave had major kidney problems and heart problems, and he battled and never complained. All right, you were always the focus of his life, not himself. Right, he never gave a shit about himself. Gave a shit about you. All right, I'm blessed, very blessed to know this guy, very blessed to have him in my life, and I rest in peace. Uh, Thank you, Pullman. I mean, I don't usually do this. I don't do this a lot for anyone. I didn't do it when my friends and family died, but he deserves this because he never asked of anyone anything other than making you laugh. Okay. Um, so I dedicate the rest of my podcast that I do with Brad to Dave Brown, because he's the impetus in the humor that I have. I met him at 25, 26 years old, and there was never a time I was around this guy he didn't laugh. Okay. And came from a poor family. He lived poor. Thank God he worked at Costco. He got a job at Costco, I think, in the '90s, and he got his pension, and he worked as a manager. But again, I pay homage. I love using that word, homage, to a guy that just his love for you was bigger than the love that he had for anything in himself. And I rest in peace, my friend. I'm going to miss you.